As a guy, there is no doubt in my mind that at some point in your life, you have seen a girl, and once you've seen that girl, you have just fallen head over heels. She's just literally blown you away with the way that she looks, or maybe how nice she is. And if you're thinking about that girl right now, maybe you married her, maybe you took her home for a night, and then you never saw her again. But there is somebody that is out there that has caught your eye, and that was my wife for me. When I first saw her, her smile just blew my mind. And the way that we look at that, the way that we look at that person, or we have that epiphany where we fall in love overnight, is the same when we find our first mission. You always remember the first mission. In my younger years, in my teens, in my early 20s, I didn't know anything about a mission. I didn't know anything about growth mindset. I didn't know about improving myself. All I knew was that I wanted to be a Royal Marine Commando. And I left everything behind to go and do that. And I guess that was my mission. But I didn't connect with it as a mission. It was just something I was going to do. But my first mission, I will never forget. And I'll never forget it for a couple of reasons. And why it was so important, it was the thing that got me through 32 weeks of the hardest training mentally, emotionally, and physically of my life. And I want to share that with you. And I want to be able to help you find your first mission so that you can go deeper into your life, so that you can break the cycle of the same mundane excuses and procrastination that stops you from reaching your very, very best self. Now, I'm going to take you all the way back to 2003, and it was on the 23rd of July. And I set off from my little hometown in Bexhill for a 4.5 hour train ride all the way down to Lympstone, which was in Devon. And this is the home of the training centre for the Royal Marines. Now, I had no idea what to expect. I shaved my head, I left my job, I left my life, I had one backpack, and I headed off into this journey. And on the way down, I was pretty chilled. I had done the physical work, I had done the training, and I was ready to go. And when I got off the train, there were 30 other bald-headed guys who had the same intention as me, the same mission as me. And I remember we were met by the drill sergeant, and within the first 10 seconds, I completely and utterly crapped myself because he literally screamed at us. And we went through the security gate that was guarded by a Royal Marine at the very bottom. And you walk up these winding stairs that take you all the way up to the camp. And it's quite intimidating because on the left, there is a Royal Marine assault course, physical training course, and there were people getting beasted, climbing up the ropes, and you could see the physical training instructors in the white vests shouting, "Fresh meat, let's go, get them in." And on the right side, there were people doing weapon handling tests. As we walked up, there were big accommodation blocks of recruits saying, "Welcome to hell." So you've got incoming in 3 different ways. Right in front of you, people to the side, all coming in. So you immediately feel super scared. So as we got to the top of the stairs, I was looking around and you can see more of the camp. And walking down the main drive, were these 2 trained Royal Marine Commandos. Green Berets, Royal Marine flashes on the side, immaculate. They looked like wrestlers, 6'2", arms bulging out. That was when I first visualized my mission. Like I visualized what it was that I was trying to achieve. I saw these 2 guys. They looked absolutely impactful, intentional, clinical, disciplined. They looked like everything you would want to see in a Royal Marine Commando. And in that moment, all of the fear and worry and uncertainty of everything that was going on around me disappeared. Because I looked at those 2 and was like, that is what I want to be. That is what I want from my life. I want to be like those 2 guys there. And they really stayed with me for the whole way through training. I have no idea who they are. I have no idea what their names were. I have no idea where they are in life right now. But those 2 people, without even saying anything, just by the filthy dagger stare that they needed to kill me with because I was a fresh recruit, they inspired me on my first mission. They were my first mission. Just like when we see the girl, the first girl that you see, like, my God, I love you. My God, I'm taking you home. My God, you blew my mind away. Right? It's the same with this mission here. I looked at these lads and I was like, man, this is what I want. I want those guys. And the 32 weeks of training was very, very tough. In the first 2 weeks, we're in this great big room. If you think of Full Metal Jacket, beds all the way round, up like to 2-3 o'clock in the morning, ironing your t-shirts, right? And every single time it got very, very difficult, I thought of those 2 lads. As we come out of that accommodation block and start the full training, when it got really hard with the exercise, with the mental and emotional torment that we're put through to get to the standard, I thought of those two. And I thought of, I can either be those two lads, or I can go back home and scramble for my job to be a store manager in McDonald's again. I can either live a life of greatness, of depth, of growth, of discipline, or I can go back to living my average life, going to the pub, living for the pub every Friday and Saturday night. I can either become the man that I want to be, build a mission, build a life, build a career for my family, or I can go back to the job that I wasn't aligned with, that made me unhappy. And that was always the alternative, right? It was either becoming a version of one of these two guys, or going back to my old life. And that's the thing within our life, right? When we find our first mission, it has to have this emotional connection. So when you think about Remember the Mission, when you think about the second book that I wrote, which was Remember the Mission, it's always about coming back to that core mission. I always came back to those two lads. I always came back to that visualization. And that's the stuff that we do with the lads in our Mission 365 system. It's the stuff that we do in our community. It's the stuff that I work with the guys. Who are you? What is your character? What do you stand for when the rain is pelting in? When life's not going your way? When the business is not going up, it's coming down? Who do you become to fulfill that mission? And that's why it's so important to have that mission, to visualize that mission, to see that, to work on it, right? But the problem is, for so many businessmen, so many men caught up in that business rat race, they're so tunnel visioned that they're just surviving, they're just firefighting, they're just getting through. All the things that I recognize from running a £6 million store, looking after 200 staff. There was no life. I was looking forward to the weekend and having a drink and forgetting everything. That was no life. That's not my best aligned life. Your best aligned life is finding something that takes you from comfort, complacency, procrastination to something that is uncertain, scary, risky, but fulfilling, but aligns you, gives you your edge, gives you your fire. We're trying to get the ember going again in our tummy to go, man, that's the direction I want to go. I want to break free. I want to break free of the cycle that's stopping me from becoming the man that I want to be. And that's what those two lads, that was my first mission. And I didn't connect with that mission until I saw it, until I saw those two lads. And every time it got hard, we brought ourselves back. And that's what I want you to do. And if you're listening to this video right now and you're stagnant, you're complacent, you're not pushing yourself, you're not challenged, then you need a mission in your life. You need the structure, the discipline, the mental resilience, the tenacity to keep showing up even when it's hard. But if you want to stay in the same cycle and you want to keep circling in the same average mentality, the same average decisions, the same things that keep you in the same place for the rest of your life, dig out. But that is going to be very, very painful for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of you running your business. Maybe you've got another 30, 40 years of life, 50 years of life. And that's a long time to be stuck in a cycle of average when you could be doing something incredible. I see the potential in every single man, and I get frustrated because that man doesn't see the potential in themselves. Some excuse, another distraction, another reason why you can't do it. Or visualize the mission, fall in love with the mission, and let the process build you as the man that you want to be. And if you listen to this and you do something with us, there are two options. Number one, you can go to my Instagram account, which is on the description directly below, and you can comment the word ready, and we'll have a conversation to see if you're a good fit for our program. And number two is that if you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis for 7 days, absolutely free, you can click the link that's directly below and apply to see if you're a good fit. It is for business owners that are ready to level up. And I'm going to take you through 7 missions to reset the way that you operate so that you can start performing like these guys here. And this is a couple of our case studies of some of the guys that we're working with. And you can look at some of the success that they're having and you can have the same thing. Let's fall in love with that first mission. Let's go.